Make sure everything is alright. Let's make sure everything is alright. Maybe it's taking too long. I said maybe taking too long. Uh, yeah, yeah, uh, yeah. Okay. I make sure we live on Facebook. Cool. Okay. So we're about 16 seconds in. And all right. This is the things that y'all hear because I don't have a camera crew. I don't have somebody telling me, "Hey, we're live." Okay, but no, I just want to go ahead and get started. Let's go. All right, so I'm gonna watch myself because that's lagging a lot. So there's about a 10-second delay, and that's natural. I try to get that fix as quick as I can. But let's go ahead and jump into it. Welcome to episode 5, guys. We are 5 weeks in. I don't think you guys realize that. We are 5 weeks in. I didn't think I was going to make it this far, but hey, I got a lot to talk about obviously. So, we got a lot. I got a very wonderful thing that I want to talk about tonight. I was going to do good habits, but I was like, "No, this kind of takes precedent. Like, if you guys want to learn how to create good habits, it's just basically doing the opposite of what I talked about last week. Instead of making something easy, make it hard. Instead of making something obvious, make it obscure. Things like that. So whatever the opposite is, just do that. Okay, but if you guys really want me to elaborate on that, I will get into it. But I'm gonna move on because I am ranting, and I kind of want this to be a short video, even though from my script doesn't look like it's gonna be short. So that's why I'm trying to like rush it. But I do want you guys to get this information because this is probably like life changing for me. Like, you can hear it in my voice how excited I am to express this to you guys, because once I put this into my mindset, once I stated that I'm going to live off of less and I adapted to it, I don't even think I stress anymore. Like, not to say I don't stress, but you know, I don't worry about bills. I don't worry about like trying to be the best at anything. I don't worry about like having money or not having money. Little known fact, I was out of work for like a month or two. You get what I'm saying? So, but I still got on here and still talk to you guys, and it's because I did what you see. Let me see where the camera's pointing. What you see right there, I live this, okay? So anytime I teach you guys something, I live it, and I would never teach you guys anything that I don't know. So with that said, I am very excited. Welcome to episode 5. This is a live that I do every night at 7 p.m. I'm so sorry I got this started at 7:30, or a little bit after 7:30. Had some technical issues, and kind of deemed family a little bit more important because I do value family. So I was hanging out with my brother a little bit. But we're going to talk about how to live on less than you make. Okay. And we're going to talk about how to do it comfortably. All right. So the two known ways, right? The two known ways to keep money in your pocket is to A, cut your spending, and or B, increase your income. That's the two ways that you're going to have money in your pocket. Cut your spending and increase your income. All right. So for the best results, because we learn about cutting things, right? But there's only so much you can cut, right? You live in a house, you have to pay rent, you have to pay utilities. You're kind of at the mercy of whatever it is. And granted, you can do things like turn off lights at night, you know, not go anywhere as much so you're not spending as much on gas. But there's only so much cutting you could do. So for best results, a healthy balance, a healthy financial balance is to have both of those, right? You want to be cutting your spending and at the same time increasing your income. But tonight we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how to live on the less that you already have. So we're not going to focus on, we are going to focus on cutting, not so much increasing your income. Um, but we're going to talk about what you can do now until you get to that point where you say, okay, I need to increase my income because it's only so much I can cut. All right, here's the problem. All right, here's the problem for us, and me included, right? Some of us, we live either within, and you probably heard this before. When you hear the term living within your means, people tell you that, right? They say live within your means, right? Uh, but that's crazy, right? That's crazy, and I'm gonna tell you why. But what's even more scary is that most of us, even especially us in America, right? We live scarily above our means. Okay, what that means is we spend a lot more than what we make, right? We've become a society that favors debt. Okay, debt is the new norm. All right, if you got a credit card, throw away your wallets, throw away your check, because you can have a lot of money. You can have money on credit and not have to worry about paying it back or right now, or paying it in small amounts, right? But that's hurting us, okay? And here's how you can tell if you are living above your means. And the answer is simple. You ready for this? Okay, so here's how you know you're living above your means. If you have no money at the end of the month, you're definitely living above your means. And what's even worse, if you have no money in your account and you still owe, right? If you still owe at the end of the month, you're living above your means, okay? So the idea, and that's kind of like why I have such an alt with social media, right? Because social media, right, it tells us we're actually being tricked into believing that our wealth is in like how we look. It's basically what we drive, where we live, what we eat, where we go to vacation. All of that you're seeing at a glance, and that is your, that could be your perception of life. And I'm here to tell you that everything that glitters isn't gold, right? So that's pretty much the problem that I have with social media. Ironically, I am on social media, but I chose to converse with my family members and my friends before I am branching out to different avenues of social media. I want to start with you guys. So I'm here to tell you to live below your means just for a little bit. If you do it for just a little bit, there will be nothing in this world that you can't get or achieve, right? But you're saying, you're probably saying, Izzy, I don't want to look poor. I don't want to look like I'm broke. I don't want to give up my fun, right? I don't want to do this. So I'm going to tell you some things, right? And I'm keeping fun in mind, because if you know me by now, every video that I've done where I could express it, I'm like, hey, I'm telling you, you don't work to pay bills. You don't work to sacrifice your quality of life. You actually work to enhance your quality of life and to even have a quality of life, right? Because you go to work, you have the money to pay for a house. That way you can live in a house, right? And if you make enough money, you save it up, you can enjoy a vacation because you saved that money up. But here's what I'm saying. To enjoy it a lot faster, you're going to have to cut just a little bit, right? You're going to have to sacrifice a little bit of fun. Don't sacrifice all of your fun, because you're going to punish yourself, right? So the number one thing that I want you to do to live on less than you make and do it comfortably is by far the kind of like overall thing that people don't really want to do or don't stick to, and that's to budget. But not only budget, I want you to budget effectively. Now, Izzy, what do you mean by this, right? And I know it sounds cliche, right? But you do need a plan. So here's what it is. Budgets help you definitely see where your money is going, right? You want to see where your money is going, so at the end of the month, you don't ask where it went, all right? You don't want people taking your money. So budget effectively, right? But budget with the intent of effectively reducing or eliminating. A budget is going to help you see an overall snapshot of what you spend and what you care about. What you spend your money on and what you care about, right? So if you find some things that you don't care about, you realize, hey, I haven't used Amazon Prime in like 3 months. Do I really care about it? Cut, right? And I love Amazon Prime, so, I'm looking for any type of sponsorship deal. So it's not to say that Amazon Prime is bad. It's just saying that, hey, if you don't use it, lose it, right? So if you find out that, hey, I've been working all this time in the past 6 months, but Netflix is still charging me. Or hey, I got a gym membership and I haven't been to the gym in three. I haven't been to the gym in 3 months. I'm talking about me, but that's why I started laughing. But you want to start figuring out ways that you can reduce or eliminate, right? So, and this includes your necessities, right? Okay, and I'll tell you how to go about that later on down when we get into this live. So, also, don't think that a budget is just for saving and cutting out fun, right? Don't think it's just for that. It's about spending for what you care about, right? So if you find that you spend $200 on lattes, right, in a given month, and at Starbucks, if you find that you spend that much, okay, you like Starbucks, okay, obviously you invest a little bit of your money into Starbucks, so write it in. But what I'm saying is, uh, keep it below 20%, okay? Doesn't mean that you can't have Starbucks. It doesn't mean that. Because if you force yourself not to have Starbucks, guess what? You're going to have Starbucks, okay? So all I'm saying is if you spend $200 on Starbucks, just find a way to compromise. Maybe spend $50 to $75 and then make coffee at home. Do a healthy balance of that. And then sooner or later, you might realize, hey, I make a lot better coffee than Starbucks. I don't know how that's possible because Starbucks coffee is bomb, but it doesn't mean that I go there every day. It's just like every now and then I'm like, hey, I like Starbucks, so let me get a little Starbucks coffee, I forget what I get, the caramel macchiato, or vanilla frappuccino, something like that. I don't know. I be forgetting. I get a lot of stuff. Oh, I know what I do get. I get the ice green tea matcha. Yeah, that's exactly what I get. Okay, so what I'm saying is, keep your fun under 20%, right? Keep it under 20%. Now, 5% is ideal, right? So when you go to budget with that intention to cut, reduce, or eliminate, right? So after that, you're going to track it all with the Mint app. Now, I do talk about Mint a lot because Mint has saved my life single-handedly, right? And this is not even like no placement ad or no sponsorship or affiliation because it's free. But Mint definitely saved my life, right? And it's a simple app that tracks all of your spending so you don't have to. So you can do that and set up a weekly analysis. This is what I tell my clients. Like, instead of, at first I do say, write everything down, but that's because I want it to imprint in your brain that this is a conscious decision that I'm making. But after that, I want you to download Mint and start tracking. That way you can do a weekly analysis, do a weekly review, figure out where you went wrong, and just adjust from there. That way you're not beating yourself up every day. You got a week to mess up. I'm not giving you a month to mess up because you'll go way out of pocket, but definitely get you the Mint app. You can link your bank accounts, your checking accounts, your saving account, your credit cards, whatever you need to do, bills actually too. So you can track all of that stuff and you'll get insights on things like your cash flow. You can even check your credit, all of this stuff when you download Mint. Like I said, it has definitely changed my life. So we're going to talk about number two. Number two, in order to live on less than you make comfortably, you have to do this. You have to get rid of debt, okay? It does not make sense to make $1 million and owe $1 million, okay? You're at zero. All that hard work was for nothing, okay? So when you get your paycheck and you pay all these credit cards and you pay off all these things, right? You're basically saying, I made this money just to give it away. Right? And we all know one of my verses that I stick to. Proverbs, don't get me lying. I think it's Proverbs 22:7, but I'm thinking about the vision and the plan will perish. Guys, hold on. I'm not finna tell y'all no false story. I'm not finna sit here and tell y'all no false story. Okay, so I think I believe it's Proverbs 22:7. Yeah, I was right. I know what I be talking about. I read the Bible a little bit more nowadays, so my verses kind of get jumbled together. But Proverbs 22:7 says the rich will rule over the poor, and the borrower is always the slave to the lender. So if you're out here borrowing money and you're out here getting into debt, or you out here owing people money and stuff, you work just to pay those people back, right? So your idea is to get rid of those debts, right? So set up a plan to eradicate, like completely get rid of all debt that accrues over 7% interest. And my theory is if you pay anything over 7% interest, you're basically paying twice. You're paying double, okay? So a car that costs $20,000, if you got a loan for $20,000 and you bought a car with that, by the time you get done, you're probably going to pay more like $40,000 for it over the course of 5 to 6 to 7 years, right? So you're basically paying double. So now you might be saying, well, what if life happens? What if something comes up? What if my car goes bad, or I have to go to the hospital or something? God forbid, I don't want you to go to the hospital. Okay, here's a good compromise. Dave Ramsey says it best. Save up $1,000. Okay, get to $1,000 before you make a decision to pay off your debt, right? And the reason is because you don't want to use your credit card if something happens. I am a product of that, right? I spent about 2 or 3 months paying off my credit cards, right? 2 or 3 months to pay off my credit cards, didn't have anything saved up. And as soon as I paid it off, bam, 2 flat tires, but I had no money saved up and I didn't have any money to do it. So guess what I had to do? I had to go back in the credit cards, right? So I don't want you to do that. I want you to save up $1,000, and I want you, after you save up $1,000, start aggressively attacking those things, right? Do not use your credit cards, okay? And if you have to use your credit cards, or if you decide that you want to use your credit cards because you don't want to listen to me, all know that you should never use your cards if you can't pay the full balance. Don't spend what you can't pay off in full, right? So if you got a $1,000 limit, and you know for a fact that if you max this $1,000 out, there's no way you're going to be able to pay that off in a month. Don't spend $1,000. A good rule of thumb is to keep it under 30% or 300. But if you know you can't pay 300, why are you trying to get to the standard 30%, right? Keep it at what you can spend it on. Okay, for me, I just pay bills, right? I just pay bills. So because bills is, gonna be there. I'm gonna have to pay them regardless. I get rewards when I pay on my credit card. So I just rack up the money. It's basically free money. It's not much, but it's basically like free money. So I'm like, I'm gonna pay my bills anyway. So I'm going to take that money, pay my bills with my credit cards, and then at the end of the month, automatically set it to pay off the full balance. Not no minimum balance, the full balance. I do that. Okay? So if you can't pay it off in full, don't touch whatever you can. Don't spend whatever you can't pay off. Right? Okay. So I'm going fast because we're already probably at like 20 minutes because, like I said, I'm very passionate about this because it changed my life. Okay. Number 3 is to definitely reduce your living expenses. Definitely reduce your living expenses. What do I mean by living expenses? Your phone bill, your clothing, your food, your housing. Yes, your housing. If you are in an apartment that you can't, that you're struggling to pay for, you're what's known as house broke. Okay. Same with the mortgage. Same with the house. Okay. A mortgage is a little bit harder to get out of, but an apartment, if you're paying too much, right? If you're paying over 50%, you're what I call having too much house, right? So that basically means that if something happens, something unexpected happens, basically all of your money is going into your house. So you really kind of like, don't have any wiggle room. But if anything goes wrong, now your housing, your security is in jeopardy. So the best way to combat that is to live below your means, right? If your housing costs $1,000 and you make $2,000 a month, you're definitely in the danger zone. I don't care if you can pay for it or not. You are potentially in the danger zone, right? Because half of your income is going into your house, right? And some people scarily are going like in upwards of 75% into their house, wondering why they can't get ahead. It's because you're living in your money. You're living in it, right? So what I do is I follow a rule of thirds, right? This is what apartments do. If you ever wonder why apartments want you to make 2 to 3 times the rent, it's because of this rule, right? They want a third of your income to go towards housing, right? And that's a safe bet. That's a safe that's you know, and that's everything. That's housing, your internet bill, all of this stuff. So each amount of money that I get on a salary or per hour, I'm factoring in how much house I can afford, and then I try to go a little bit below that, right? So, because I have to include, things like the lights, the utilities, the not repairs, the the cable, not cable. Oh, Lord Jesus, not cable. The internet, all of that stuff. So I have to keep all of that in mind, right? I adjust to about 20% affordability, right? To account for maybe 10% of fees and repairs and all of this stuff, right? Because life is going to happen. Okay? So, with that said, I will be working on my apartment. Will be working on my house, excuse me. And that kind of I can't go into, but that's definitely happening. But moving on, number 4, same with your house, right? Get rid of your car. Okay? No, I say this. Get rid of your expensive car. Okay? Get rid of it. All right? Why? I want to ask you this. Why do we buy nice things, right? Is it because it makes us feel good? Probably, right? But majority of the time, we as humans, we want to be liked. We want to be accepted, right? There's a certain status and prestige that we want people to see us as, right? So we'll go out of our way to kind of do some of these things. Okay? So but the truth is you're overpaying to do stuff like that, right? You're trying to keep up with the Joneses, and in truth, if you do the statistics, there's generally about 7 or 8 out of 10 people is kind of doing the same thing you're doing, and they're kind of struggling like the rest of us. So nobody, what I want to say is, you spend the money to get a nice car, you spend the money to get a nice house, you will maybe, right? You get a nice little, whip to push down the street to go to work to. Maybe you get a couple of heads turned. I know I see Tesla Model X's and I'm like, I want that car. Like, that's my car, right? Maybe it'll turn a few heads, but in general, nobody really cares. Nobody cares, okay? That is the hardest pill to swallow. When you realize that everybody has their own problems, that we're all trying to figure it out, right? We're all trying to figure it out. We could care less about the car you're driving. We could care less about how you look. Maybe you cared in middle school because you wanted to be popular and people wanted to be popular, and it was okay to bully people that didn't have anything. But as you become an adult, it's like everybody's trying to go through life, right? And they ain't got time to be worried about what you got going on. Okay? So we're all trying to figure it out, right? We could care less about what kind of car you're driving. You're overpaying for something that's going to get you to point A and point B just as much as a hoopty would, right? And I'm not saying get a hoopty, right? But I'm definitely saying that you're not above getting a cash car, right? Anything technically between $1,500 to $3,000, you can generally find a nice car that will last you for a while, right? The idea is to not look nice. The idea is to not look rich. The idea is to be rich, right? I would rather be rich than look rich, right? So I would rather act broke than be broke. You get what I'm saying? It's making sense now. So my car, let me tell you guys about my car. I still won't tell you the make and model, but my car only cost me $1,500, right? And my car still looks brand new. And that's because it is. It's a 2011. It's now 2021. So it's a 10-year-old car, right? It's a 10-year-old car. Do you know how many miles that I got on it? I got it at 22,000 miles, right? And I just broke 30,000 miles, right? I just broke 30,000 miles. And I got this for $1,500. Why? Because I put in my mind that I would never finance a car again just to please people or try to look good for anybody. I would rather pocket the rest of that money, put it into something, and just focus on trying to find a job that's close to me, and so that I don't have to pay gas, and something that's going to get me from point A to point B, and kind of like anywhere I want to go if I choose to, because the bus ain't it no more for me, especially with the pandemic. But I just broke 30,000 miles a few days ago, right? Now, like I said, uh you may turn a few heads, but here's kind of like my idea, and this is an unpopular opinion being that I am 25. I am heavily against, and I don't want to sound old, I am heavily against anyone under 30 making under $30,000 thinking about financing a car. And that's the God honest truth, right? I don't care if you can pay for it. I don't care what it is. If you make less than $30,000, don't be out here financing, right? You're getting ripped off. You're basically overpaying. Okay? As a matter of fact, at this point in your life, if you're watching this and you really need help, you don't need anything new. All right? And this is the point where I'm like, I don't care to be liked. I care about the truth. Okay? So definitely don't try to do anything new. Okay? Try to find you a really nice car, really nice apartment. You know, it's not going to be your dream place, but if you do these steps, you'll be able to step into it, right? So, number 5 is to learn to be resourceful, right? Learn to be resourceful. There's something magnificent and primal about turning nothing into something, right? It's just that human thing that has gotten us to where we are now. It's a primal instinct, right? When you become resourceful. And let me tell you, acting broke forces you to be more creative and content with what you have. It is much harder to be fake rich. And I've learned it from experience. I've seen it. I've been in it. Been there, done that. Could sell you the shirt. Got a souvenir myself. And would tell you I wouldn't go back. So um um what I'm saying is, just because you're living off of less, it does not mean that you have to look and feel broke. You're just acting broke, right? And this is where becoming more being resourceful, right? Because I've seen broke people do some amazing things, right? Prime example, look at Tyler Perry. Lord Jesus. The man goes from homeless to writing plays to writing movies to eventually owning his own production. I can't even call it a studio. It's a plethora of studios, right? And that's because he had to learn how to be resourceful. It's something magnificent, especially in this time that you're in now, and where we're all in. This is the time to be more resourceful. I've seen more millionaires there are more millionaires created in this time period. Why? Because we're learning how to be resourceful. We're learning how to utilize what we have in order to get what we want. You get what I'm saying? So, in saying that, I started Frugal Freedom with nothing, right? I started it with just my Google Pixel 3. Good camera. I I had a ring light. I had a ring light that I bought, a couple years ago. So I wasn't out trying to buy the most expensive stuff. I wasn't out trying to buy a new camera. I was like, no, I'm going to make this happen with what I have. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I've stuck to frugal freedom, and now it's financial coach Izzy. But I've stuck to this longer than I've done anything that wasn't music, right? And even with music, I would spend tons of money, right? Instead of utilizing what I had and probably making something out of it. You're forced to be creative. Okay? So that's what I'm getting at when I say living on less. It'll force you to be in a position to where you're like, okay, I'm gonna make the most of this, right? So you'll find out a lot about what you can do, right? And last but not least, last but not least, focus on making more money while living off of your previous salary. Now, this is something that I have done just now, just recently, right? Now, let me say this, just because you get a raise, it doesn't mean raise everything else, right? This is what's called lifestyle inflation. What I want you to do is to prevent that. I don't want you to go through lifestyle inflation. Just because you get a 50-cent raise doesn't mean that your coffee goes from grande to venti, okay? So you still want to live off of less than you make, if not at the original point of what you're making. I made a decision that I would live like I was living on $11 an hour, because not too long ago I was living off of $11 an hour, right? I literally stuck to my guns, guys, and now I went from $11 to $15.50. So I make $4.50 more than what I did just a month or two ago, right? Um, but I still live as if I make $11. So that gives me, and that means that if I was making 1,500 a month, I was probably only spending 800, which means that I get to pocket $700 or $800 at the end of the month, right? So now that I make $2,000 a month, that's an extra $500. So that's $1,300 to $1,400 that's in my pocket, and I still live like I normally do, right? You see me, I wear my black shirts. That's all I care about. I spend money on black shirts, and I probably got like 5 or 6 pairs of jeans. But other than that, that's it, right? Other than that, I invest heavily in underwear though. I make sure to keep stock on that, right? But I'm a frugal being, okay? And I don't really care about clothes. So, you know, um I just put the I what I do now is I put the extra money into things that will buy me more time, right? And I don't have time to elaborate on that. Maybe in another video I'll talk about things that I put my money into. You guys kind of know what I put my money into, but that's more like investing. I do things now that buy me more time. Okay, so I'll talk about that in a later video. But that's really gonna wrap up this video, right? Like, just to sum it up, if it costs you more than 20% to get what you want, then you definitely want to start cutting, right? Yes, you're gonna need the essentials, but you're gonna more than likely be overspending if you don't uh live off of less than you make, right? And I want you to understand that an increase in income does not mean an increase in living. You're definitely going to want to have like a reference point or a starting point, and this is kind of like where you're going to stay at, right? If you make $15 an hour and you go to, I don't know, $20 an hour, think about where you were when you made $15 an hour, and what did you do? How did you handle it, right? And I'm not saying don't increase your lifestyle, definitely increase your quality of living, but don't go overboard, especially on things that you don't care about. Why buy an expensive house if you're not going to be in it all the time? If you like to travel, right? Why buy an expensive house, right? I was reading a book where it talked about a lady who, makes, I think she makes about, I think he says she made about 25,000 a year, right? and she doesn't have the nicest car. She doesn't have the nicest home, and obviously she's, you know, doesn't have the biggest salary, but she spends a lot of money on shoes. Why? Because she cares about it. But her bills are paid. Her, you know, her life is taken care of. You know, she cares about shoes, so she spends maybe thousands of dollars on shoes, right? So I'm not telling you that you have to stay where you're at. I'm just saying that when you get to a point where you say, okay, now I can, you know, increase it just a little bit because I've earned the right to do so, just do it on things that you care about. Okay? Do it on things that you care about. You're definitely going to need a system because this is no easy feat, right? If you make less than $50,000, I want you to have a system. Even if you make over $50,000 and you don't have a system set in place, definitely check out my new money mindset. Okay, guys? It is the cornerstone of what I have done in my life, right? Financially. It is the cornerstone. I think that you will really love it. It's only 5 steps, and you got an end goal. I want you to have $2,000 in your bank account, in your savings account that you don't have to touch in the next 90 days, right? Now, granted, it's going to be according to how much you make. So if you don't make enough to where you can save up 2,000 that fast, then definitely adjust it. But the idea is not to adjust or save $2,000. Is to become a saver. Is to become a person that establishes a financial system. So I want you to have this guide. It's free. It is no cost to you. I just want you to tell me where to send it, right? And you can do that by going to www.financialcoachizzy.com/NMM. Okay? Financialcoachizzy.com/NMM. All right? This is a long, drawn out video because I'm very passionate about it. And if you listen back to this and you stick with it to the end, I want it to change. I want this to change your life, right? So, granted, I went a little bit over, and that's okay. My throat hurts. I haven't eaten all day, so I'm going to eat after this. I didn't plan on doing this for this long. That's why I write my scripts, and I tried to keep it under 3 points, which I did. But I'm extremely passionate about this because it changed my life, and everything that I'm doing now is the product of every sacrifice, every struggle, every mistake that I've ever made, guys. And that's why I feel like I can help because I don't want, especially the ones that I call family and the ones that I call friends, um, to ever have to go through what I went through when it came to this stuff. So if I got a chance to help, I'm gonna help. And those who know me personally know that that's all I do is try to help. I try to do what I can. And this is one of those things where I am completely confident, right? I don't want to charge you anything. Excuse me. I don't want to charge you anything for this, right? I want you to get this knowledge. So the side effect, the only thing you have to do is just pay attention and stick with it. And if you need a little bit more insight and a little bit more help, feel free to reach out to me. I am a financial coach, so we can talk, see if we fit each other, and then we could talk about things after that. We can talk about what it costs and things like that. But if you're getting a lot of help out of this and you're getting a lot of insight and kind of like, I'm losing the words, that's why I'm like up. But if you're getting a lot out of this to where you can apply it to your life and it changes your life, I want you to have this. You don't need my coaching, okay? I'm the first here to say I'm not trying to sell you guys on anything, right? I'm not trying to sell you on Nothing at all. I want you guys to have this knowledge because I want everyone around me to be successful. And it just so happens that I have financial knowledge to where I can help you become financially successful. So with that said, go get my free guide to set you up. Okay, it's only 5 steps. If you can't do 5 steps, oh my gosh, oh Lord Jesus. But go to financialcoachizzy.com/new NMM and get that guide. Okay, that's all I have for this video. Sorry this was long and dragged out. This video will be up on my Facebook and it'll be on YouTube, my YouTube channel as well. Check that out. It is Frugal Freedom, Frugal Freedom together / and then try to find me under financial coach Izzy or finance coach Izzy. Definitely check me out on YouTube. I post every Wednesday. Yesterday I talked about the time value construct. I think that is a very kind of like wonderful time management productivity thing that I've come to teach when it comes to becoming a when I became a virtual mentor. So I'm dragging this on, guys, but I definitely wish you guys a good night, and thank you guys so much for watching this. This is episode 5. We'll see you next week, next Thursday at 7 p.m. Okay, I'm saying that for me. 7 p.m. All right, guys. Have a good night. Love you. Peace.